Paltrocast.
I'm going to say good afternoon. Do I have the time zones correct?
Yeah, it's one here, so we're solid.
Got it. And you've got the Bucky's mug. Is that an endorsement or is that just a personal preference?
It's just a personal preference. They're not paying me, but I adore Bucky's, so they can get all the free promo they want out of me.
Are there any endorsements or active product tie-ins that we should know of for you right now?
I'm not really properly endorsed by anything, no. I the closest thing I guess would be Country Star, the greatest mobile app in the world, because they have a few of my songs on there. But apart from that, no one's given me free things, sadly.
Yet.
Yet.
There you go. So speaking of free things, I got your album for free because, I'm in the business and all that. But congrats on Southern Galactic. So when did you actually finish recording it?
Thank you. We recorded it in May. I went down to Texas, where Titanic Sinclair, the gentleman who produced the album, he lives down there, and we had like 3 weeks set aside to record everything, and we got everything done in like 10 weeks, or in 10 days, excuse me. And apart from that, there were a few minor things we did over the next month, just kind of remotely, but it was pretty much done when I left Texas. So it was a very quick one.
And Titanic, from what I have read, is based in San Antonio. Is that a city you'd spend much time in?
Not a ton. I mean, I've got to roll through Texas a few times. But like it's always for a show or a tour or whatever. So I haven't really got to get out and gallivant as much as I'd like. So this time I did get to spend some time in the city and the Riverwalk and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, San Antonio is a beautiful, beautiful place, and got some really good food down there too. So I wasn't complaining.
Right. Some people, one of my theories that I talk about with my wife a lot is anytime you see an Adam Sandler movie, it's always in a new city that maybe he didn't go to before because he got somebody to pay for his vacation. So future idea, your next album, you go, I think we should record in Paris.
Yeah, we really need to record this one in Bali. Yeah, no, I think so. We might need a Bucky sponsorship if I'm going to do something like that, but I'm down.
There you go. So was it an easy album to make? The reason I asked that is because 10 days is not exactly a relaxed vibe. That means we're cutting more than one song every day.
Yeah, I think if we had gone into it saying we have to have this done in 10 days, it wouldn't have been a relaxed vibe. I think the just how quick we got everything is sort of a direct result of how relaxed it was. We were really just having fun. And, it wasn't like, oh, we need to get this many songs done. It was like, well, we're done. You want to do another one? Like, we're here. So it was the most laid back environment that I've ever recorded in, probably.
So when did you move from Georgia to Nashville?
I moved here, I want to say end of 2018, I think. So I've been here a little over 5 years now, and yeah, it's been cool. Apart from living here, I lived with my parents, so it's kind of living here just let me be my own man, so to speak. So it's been good.
So when you started to leave Georgia, that's when all the entertainment companies started coming into Georgia.
Exactly. Yeah, they were waiting for me to go.
Well, I say that because when I was a kid, many, many, many years ago, you had to live in New York or Los Angeles to make it in entertainment. And now you could go, I'm going to move to the big city. I'm going to move to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And there's more studios there. There's more record companies there, et cetera, than ever. So when you moved to Nashville, was it because it's Music City, USA?
Yeah, I think like I grew up like an hour and a half outside of Atlanta. And the first project I did post Idol was with Christian Bush, and we recorded that in Decatur. But apart from that, there's really not like a country music scene in Atlanta. And I think moving here was just the natural thing. All the people I love and work with, and they were all here, so it just kind of made a lot of sense. And it sort of happened as a happy accident, really. I'd been thinking about it, but just really didn't want to leave my parents' house because it's pretty sweet to be living with my parents. And no, it was a buddy of mine was moving around the same time, and just kind of came together fairly quickly.
Got it. So they keep pegging you as a country artist, but listening to your music, there's other genres on display. Are you okay with being a country artist?
Yeah, I think really like I think it's almost a point of pride, to not label this as like alternative or alt country or whatever Americana. I think country music historically is filled with people who kind of push the lines of the genre and of expectations, whether it's like Waylon Jennings or Willie Nelson, or I mean even like Hank Jr. These people who take what country music is and then they put their own twist to it. And pretty much all those people were met with some form of resistance, but they did it until it became the new standard. And I think country music as a whole is already being pushed in non-traditional country ways, but I think it can get a little monotonous with how folks do it. So I think it was really important to me to make a country record, but put it into a space that maybe isn't currently as occupied.
Got it. One of the things I'm seeing these days in country music is it's really just 80s metal influenced. You hear a lot of Bon Jovi, Van Halen, Rat, etc. Now, you're a young gentleman, so obviously those are oldies to you, whereas that was like early childhood for me. Was there any 80s metal influence in you personally?
Yeah, I mean, my mom is an '80s hair metal fanatic, like Guns N' Roses, Bon Jovi, all that kind of stuff. So I grew up with a lot of that. But yeah, no, it's interesting. Like the country music is nowadays, especially so like dad rock. I feel like has had such a comeback in country
Yeah,
music. I think it's part of the reason right now there's like a cultural renaissance of Creed and Nickelback and people going like, oh,
totally.
why'd we make fun of this? This is incredible. It's like, yeah, but also, a lot of people are kind of doing that, and it is great. But like so much of like I love Hardy, and I think so much of
Oh,
Hardy, like that's
okay, I got to interrupt you right there. So
yeah,
somebody gave me comp tickets 2 summers ago to a Jason Aldean show because he was promoting his whiskey and they wanted me to write about the whiskey, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Hardy was the opening act. And at first, I'm not a country guy. Growing up on Long Island, New York, we didn't have a country station until like 5 years ago. So I'm, going, I wish this was hard rock. I wish this was hard rock. And then Hardy starts covering a Puddle of Mud song, and the whole crowd starts singing. You go, wow, the country audience is maybe the most open-minded of any audience out there. There's
yeah,
no barriers to what music they listen to. It's like what you're saying right now.
yeah, and I think it's interesting. To me, it's like country and hip hop are very similar in that people who don't listen to it think they know exactly what it is. Everyone who doesn't listen to rap's like, oh, it's all about like drugs and violence and sex and gang stuff. And everyone who doesn't listen to country is just like, oh, it's just trucks and beer and dirt
Your
roads.
dog died and
Yeah.
your wife left you.
And to be fair, a lot of those cliches are very true.
Yeah.
But I think country especially just gets kind of a bad rap because I think historically it's one of the genres that had some of the most important kind of barrier breaking genre blending moments, and that's one of the things that excites me the most about country music.
So you are a rock person that got into country or a country person that just got into everything?
I'm a country person that got into everything. Yeah, I grew up listening to a lot of like country and songwriter stuff, and then got into rock, and then got into punk, and then got into metal, and then in high school got into hip hop. And no, my playlist is stupid. I'm a big like
Not stupid. Good.
my like my playlist. I probably listen to more like late '90s, early 2000s, like pop punk and emo and that
Same
kind
here, man.
more than anything.
Yeah.
I love playing like a country show and wearing a Say Anything shirt or Taking Back Sunday or something like that.
Totally. Yeah. I got to go to some of the earliest Taking Back Sunday shows due to my age, like when you're watching them playing in a VFW hall. And
Yeah,
I had no idea that that was going to be generation shaping music. It's just like that's a guy whining. But
yeah,
you fast forward 20 years and go, that means a lot to a lot of people. So I think that you don't really know what's going to stand the test of time. I think Hardy is the next Kid Rock, and I don't mean ideology. I mean in terms of the genre melding. I hear your stuff and I go, I can see that relating to people really long term. So, what are we really right about when we say at the time this stinks? What you said before about Creed, they just announced their big summer tour for this coming summer, probably the biggest venues they've ever played.
yeah. And wouldn't Three Doors Down opening that? Yeah, that's going to be an incredible show. Yeah, I think like I used to, especially like in high school, middle school, I used to think I knew like everything and knew what was good and what's bad and what people should and shouldn't listen to. And I'm really at a point where I don't have and many opinions about things, not even as a cop out, just like, oh, people like this. This is someone's favorite song. So even if it's not for me, I'm not gonna be like, oh, this sucks. And it's funny how many things come out and initially people are like, this is the worst thing ever. And then it does become like a classic, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, Rolling Stone hated Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath, and the reviews that we see now are not the original ones that ran.
Oh
So
yeah.
always have to keep that in mind. So hey, back to you. It's really interesting to hear about your influences because obviously that's not what you were singing on Idol.
Yeah.
It gives me the vibe that maybe some of those songs on Idol that was the first time you ever sang or really got to know some of those songs.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean that environment, especially towards the end, is like, here's the theme, what are you singing? And like
What
I'm
publishing did we clear this week?
yeah, exactly. But they're like, what's your favorite song from, like, we did a year of birth, and they're like, what's your favorite 1999 song? And I'm like, let me look it up. I ended up singing Lone Star,
Yeah.
which was great. But yeah, it's definitely, you just got to learn to roll with the punches.
Yeah. Well, hey, two questions for you, and then I let you go. And the first one is the name that shows on the screen right now doesn't have Lee in there, and we know you as Caleb Lee Hutchinson. How much of David Lee Roth influence is there when you pull out the Lee?
It's really more my mother's influence, with all respect to David. My mom is a Lee, but she's a Leigh. So I have the masculine spelling of my mother's name, and it's a big point of pride. My mom's the strongest person I know. So and also, like, they gave me the full name. Why not use it all?
I didn't know if there was another person in SAG after already named Caleb Hutchinson, and you're like, okay, gotta Caleb L. What am I here? None of that.
No, no. I mean, I started playing like out when I was 11, 12, and they were like, "What's your name?" And I just told them my government name, and it's just been what it is.
There you go. And my last question, because I brought up concerts like 7 times in 15 minutes here. What's the last concert that you went to for fun? Not because you were opening for someone or going to pop up on stage or anything like that. You went, I'm a fan. I'm getting a ticket. I'm going.
Oh, I've seen some cool ones recently. I'll give you my last three because they're really diverse. I think it's
Sure.
cool. I saw Men I Trust a year ago, and that was like my first like indie pop show. It was super fun. And then I saw Wetzel. I love Wetzel. How do you talk about like dad rock and country without bringing up Co? He's the guy. And then I saw Youngblood a few months back as well. So I love like going to shows that I'm fortunate enough I get the opportunity to see like really cool country shows. But I think like because my mind is so in that world, it's hard for me to really enjoy it because I'm just sitting taking notes. And I'm like, oh, they transitioned from this song to this song, they did it this way, and he talked this much. So it's cool to like get to see a different genre and just like a different approach. Um, my first concert I ever saw was the Red Hot Chili Peppers And so like I'm a nerd about live shows that I don't fully understand. You know, it's fun.
Well, it's weird to say, but you're an industry veteran before the age of 25.
Yeah, I'm old, man. I'm ancient.
인사드리겠습니다. 둘, 셋.
Plus everything. Hello, we are P1 Harmony.
And you're watching the Paltrocast. Woo!
Gitty, I'm going to say good morning. It's almost noon, so good morning to you. And how's your day going so far?
It's going, you know, when I get my 4-year-old up, and if I could get her up, dressed, brush her teeth, eat breakfast, and get to school on time, by 8 a.m. I've already won.
Right. Well, do I call you Gitty? Do I call you Jeff? What do you like to be called?
Yeah, whatever you like, but Giddy's fine.
Okay, well, Gitty, it is a pleasure. I'm impressed by your credits. I'm impressed by the hustle, because a lot of people who are the sideman for a major artist, they go, that's what I'm going to do forever. In your case, you're a multi-instrumentalist. Sometimes you've been the touring artist, you know, music director or sidekick, producer, songwriter, etc. Where you're at now, was that the plan all along, or was it an accident that you became all those things?
Yeah, to be honest with you, this was the destination all along in a lot of ways, and it's been a 20-year overnight success. And so,
Right.
yeah, you know, there's just a lot of things that I was passionate about as far as music goes. Like I do have a passion for performing, for composition, production, and just an overall artistic vision. And you know, like the scattered brain that I am, I had to try a little bit of everything just to you know, just to really take the road as far as I can. Like when I got into playing guitar and performing, I really wanted to be on the world's biggest stages, and I got to do that with some of my favorite artists, Lauryn Hill, Alicia Keys. I got to play Grammys, Super Bowl, Nobel Peace Prize, etc. And you know, when I did that, I looked for the next thing that would drive me, and that was becoming an artist and singing and writing my own songs. And I did that with my own band when I started the Step Kids. And after that, you know, I wanted a different life, and I realized that my a big part of my strengths is to be able to help young and upcoming artists see their vision through. And so that's the phase I'm in right now. And then eventually, you know, if it I'm always going to be making music, but if it, you know, if that passion for helping younger artists develop themselves keeps developing, then, you know, maybe I'll join the executive side and pursue that road that way.
Well, you're already an executive producer on things, so I think you have joined the executive side.
Yeah, semantically, yes.
Yeah, so you are an original force of being in the music industry, but your path reminds you of some other people like Chris Griotti, or you know, that kind of a thing, where you start off as just the flashy guitarist, and then people realize, oh, that guy is writing hits for other people. What was the first cut that you had for another artist?
The very first cut I ever got, and I got a small publishing share on it. I'm not credited as a producer. I was just able to be a writer composer on it. Was J. Cole's Apparently.
Not a bad first cut. And
Yeah.
one of the notable artists you've worked with is I can't talk today, Jelly Roll. What, for a reference, what do you call Jelly Roll when you're in a room with him?
So to be honest, I actually haven't been in a room with Jelly Roll. We did a song with Jesse Murph, and he's the featured artist, and just we were so happy to have him, and he really killed it, and the song is doing really well. But the way we got that done is me and Jesse wrote it in a room together, and then she went on tour, and Jelly Roll was on tour, and she was on tour, and so I think they met up in like on a tour bus or something, and like were able to get it done in the middle of while they were touring. So, and then we went back and forth that way, and got the final edits and mix and stuff. But yeah, unfortunately, I have not yet been in the room with Jelly Roll. And when I am in the room with him, I'll let you know if it's Jelly or Mr. Roll or you know.
Yeah, I was wondering about that kind of thing because, for example, when you get to know Kid Rock, supposedly you call him Bob.
I actually have. I've met Kid Rock. I've partied with Bob in his home state of. It was in Detroit, Michigan, and yes, you call him Bob.
Yeah. So in your case, are you Gitty to everybody, or
Yeah,
do
most
you
people
like
call me
once?
Gitty. Most people call me Gitty. Some people that know me for a while call me Jeff. My real name is Yevgeny Semyonovich Gittilman. I'm a Russian immigrant. I
I
came
thought
here.
you were a Moldovan.
Moldavia, yeah, Moldavia, yes, exactly. And so, yes, at one point when I lived there, it was all Russia. Now it's Moldavia, it's its own province.
Are there other people of the Moldovan background that are successful in the music business that we don't realize that's the case with?
I have never met another Moldavian.
And so it's not Moldovan, it's Moldavian.
Well, it's always been a two ways to pronounce it, Moldova or Moldavia. So, yeah, it's always been two ways. So, however, just like Giddy or Jeff, take your pick.
Well,
But yeah,
another thing,
I've never met somebody who, of the Moldavian descent, to be honest with you.
oh, I have.
Music
I guess
industry is
what,
such a small place in the world.
yes.
That, I mean, I've traveled and I met people when I was in Germany one time. I told somebody I'm Moldavian, and they were like, "Oh, so am I." And it was like such a small world. But as far as the music industry, I have yet to meet one. I'm sure they're out there. Hey, if you're out there and you're seeing this, come holler at me, man.
Well, another thing that's notable about you is that you graduated from Berkeley. Most of the artists that I speak with who have the Berkeley ties didn't finish the school.
First
So,
semester, I called my parents, and I was very fortunate enough to have gotten a scholarship. I was like a kid prodigy. I came up playing jazz, and so by the age of 14, I was already professional. I was already performing professionally and making money doing jazz concerts. And so by the time I was 18, I was able to get a scholarship to Berkeley. And so I went there first semester, like it was probably at the end of the first semester, I called my parents, and it wasn't even an ask. I was like, listen, this is what's happening. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop. I'm going to drop out. I'm going to move to New York, and I'm going to just hustle as a musician in New York because that's really what I should be doing with my time and energy. And they were like, okay, listen, this is what's going to happen. You're going to shut the F up. You're going to finish this school. You got a scholarship. And then after you finish, you could do whatever the F you want to do. But you're not dropping out, moving to New York. Got it? I was like, oh, okay. That went a little different than I expected, but all right. And so I ended up finishing, and I ended up finishing early. And, I'm really glad they encouraged me to do that, because I think the friendships that I built are still, are still benefiting me. And I think some of the camaraderie and the connection and the teamwork that I've learned to exhibit, I think that really followed me throughout my career. And most importantly, I will say this: the commitment and following through with your commitment, that was the biggest lesson with me staying in Berkeley and graduating. Because now as a producer, a lot of times things can get really difficult on a project. You're spending a lot of time with somebody, and things could get really challenging personally and artistically. And I think commitment to the project, I do consider that this art is actually bigger than all of us. So commitment to the art and commitment to these songs and the music, I think is the most important thing I could do in Berkeley. Staying in Berkeley and graduating definitely taught me that.
who are some of your peers that we would know from Berkeley, that era of your life?
Ron Feemster, who's a great producer, was there at the time. An executive who I work with a lot, Gerald Johnson, he was there at the time, and we've done some great work together. Trying to think of some more. One of the biggest horn sections in the world as far as musicians go, Regiment Horns. I've known them. We actually did a 5-week camp when I was 15 at Berkeley, and I've known them since before college. I've known them, Kevin and Leon and Sean. They were there, and so many others. I'll probably think as soon as we get off the think of like 10 more.
So it sounds like Berkeley is one part actually learning the
I'm
craft.
sorry, Justin Trenter. I can't.
Oh,
Yeah, Justin Trenter, who's one of my favorite collaborators and just one of my favorite writers in the world in general. He went to Berkeley.
when you mentioned Justin, does that mean that you were there at the same time as Aaron Lee Tastian?
No, I don't know Aaron, and I think Justin was there slightly before me. We might have overlapped by 1 year or so. I actually didn't know Justin. It wasn't until we started working together.
Oh.
Actually, a couple years after, my friend was telling me, "Yo, did you know Justin?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "Well, he's like opening up for Lady Gaga." This was like 10, 12, 13 years ago. And that's when I started hearing about him. But when we started working together, I was like, "Dude, you went to Berkeley." And so, we geeked out about that.
Got it. Aaron was his guitar player in Semi Precious Weapons, and now he's
There
a
you
huge
go.
singer songwriter and all that. But back to you. So what does the future look like for you? And I say that because I know about the upcoming J-Lo album, etc. But are you writing 5 days a week, that kind of a thing?
Yeah, it's a way of life for me. I love it. I don't see it as work, like, oh, I have to go write a song. I see it, this is what my purpose is here on this earth. And so I spend every moment that I'm inspired to fulfill that purpose. Even when I'm not inspired, I know that, if you don't want, if you're working out and it's a leg day and you don't feel like doing leg, you still got to do it. And so I treat it like that. Like I treat it like a discipline. I do write a lot. I'm very inspired right now. I think it's just a special time for me that I've been doing this for 20 years, more than 20 years, but really on the big level for 20 years. And now finally having, getting awards, having songs chart, seeing with my own eyes what a song could do for a young developing artist. It's one of the most fulfilling and yet addictive things in the world. And so, gonna be going to Nashville, working over there, and again, I think just continue to help artists realize their vision. I think is just something I'll be doing probably for the rest of my life.
Awesome to hear. Well, 3 quick questions and then I'll let you go. And the
Love it.
first one is, given your last given name, but it's spelled differently, any interactions with Joe Gittleman from the Mighty Mighty Bosstones?
I've been getting this my whole life. I actually have yet. I know one of these days we're gonna run into each other in an award show or backstage. I actually have a friend who is playing. Regiment, who I mentioned, Leon from Regiment Horns. He was playing with the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, and he was like, "Man, I was telling him about you. You guys got to meet." And so he was trying to introduce us, and it hasn't happened yet. But I'm also an East Coaster, and so believe me, when the time is right, me and him are gonna have a little powwow.
Rumor is that Joe has been a professor at a Vermont university, but he's also doing A&R for Side One Dummy. So that might be the way to get the Gittleman times Gittleman collaboration going. Okay.
Yeah, that could be great.
Paltrocast. Hey, yo, check 1, 2. This is Flavor Flav, and I don't disappear fast. Because right now, you are watching the Paltrocast. Paltrocast.